Ever wondered who's behind Australia's biggest speed operation? Well, meet Bikie John Higgs, a key player in the Melbourne chapter of the Black Uhlans Motorcycle Club. Higgs is the mastermind behind tons of amphetamines flooding the streets, making others look like small-time players. Get ready to dive into the story of Australia's biggest speed producer, Bikie John Higgs. Born on November 29, 1946, Higgs faced trouble from a young age, like many who end up deep in crime. He was always in trouble with the law, getting his first conviction at just 13 years old, around the time he dropped out of school. From there, he racked up a long list of offenses, from stealing cars to drug and firearm possession. This early brush with crime paved the way for his life in the underworld. At 23, Higgs escalated from robbery to involvement in a manslaughter case. What started as a simple armed robbery turned tragic when Higgs and his friends went to rob a chicken farmer named Vincent Dugan in West Meadows. The robbery went wrong, resulting in Dugan's death. Though Higgs didn't pull the trigger, he was found guilty of manslaughter. In 1970, he was sentenced to 12 years in jail, with a minimum of 10 years to serve. Released from prison in 1978, Higgs had served over 8 years of his manslaughter sentence. He moved in with his girlfriend, Karen McLennan, and soon connected with her brother, David McLennan, who became his trusted partner in the drug trade during the 1970s. Higgs also played a pivotal role in founding Melbourne's chapter of the Black Uhlans Motorcycle Club. Building a successful drug network for the club, Higgs helped establish it as one of the nation's top amphetamine suppliers for a remarkable 15 years. According to police reports, Higgs generously provided the Black Uhlans Motorcycle Club with its Melbourne clubhouse and was honored with a lifetime membership in 1984. His journey into amphetamine production began unexpectedly when a former member of the Hells Angels, Peter Hill, offered him the original speed recipe for $1,000 as a final act of revenge after parting ways with the Angels. Hill had learned the recipe from the Angels' U.S. Mother chapter before sharing it with Higgs and the Black Uhlans Motorcycle Club. This marked the beginning of Higgs's rise as a major amphetamine producer. He was cautious in his actions, using counter-surveillance tactics and avoiding phone communication, only trusting long-time acquaintances. His operation grew from a small team to multiple groups, dealing in whatever the market demanded. Higgs was a savvy player, adapting to the ever-changing landscape of the drug trade. Higgs orchestrated a complex operation, importing cocaine from America, cannabis from New Guinea, and guns from the Philippines, while amphetamines were sourced locally in Victoria. Warehouses stocked with chemicals were kept ready for large-scale production runs in hidden labs. Despite years of investigation, police struggled to uncover the details of Higgs's operation, including who was cooking the drugs, where it was happening, and who supplied the chemicals. Higgs seemed to outsmart the authorities at every turn, leading many to suspect he had an insider feeding him information. Despite 8 separate operations launched by authorities to gather evidence on Higgs, he consistently evaded capture, remaining one of the nation's top amphetamine producers. To launder money, he employed contractors to work on properties owned by himself and David McLennan. Additionally, he invested in harness horses to disguise his income further, according to police reports. Detectives from the drug squad noted the challenges in obtaining evidence against Higgs, as he shielded himself through various companies and seemingly legitimate businesses, while also controlling a network of other criminals involved in his illegal activities. Higgs dabbled in various businesses, from a fish processing plant to a retail outlet in Zhong, and even an excavating business involved in construction projects like the Crown Casino in 1992. Australian detectives followed Higgs and 4 of his buddies to a remote seafood business. There, they noticed something fishy. Right after these guys visited, the owner of the seafood place started spending a lot more money than usual. The detectives suspected that the seafood business might be a cover for something illegal connected to Higgs. To prove it, they would have looked for evidence like unusual financial transactions, connections between the business and Higgs, or any illegal activities happening there that matched their timing and Higgs's known operations. Shortly after the meeting, police alleged that 2 hovercraft were delivered to the seafood business, suspected to be used by Higgs, to import cannabis from Papua New Guinea. Higgs was known to supply large quantities of cannabis as needed. Then, in 1993, Higgs became a director of a company exporting powdered milk to Vietnam and horse feed to Malaysia. According to police, his plan was to establish a fake company to receive government grants and subsidies for exporting to Asia, all while using the business as a front to import huge amounts of heroin in 1994. Higgs ventured into organizing a big rock concert near Melbourne during Easter. His idea was to invest in the concert, featuring major international acts, but he needed backers. One of his investors was a former Australian Football League star who lost approximately $130,000 in the venture. Moreover, Higgs offered him another opportunity, getting involved in the drug trade, which he promised would be a surefire moneymaker. Amphetamines produced by the Higgs syndicate in Melbourne were hidden in the front door compartments of a Nissan Bluebird and transported to Western Australia. However, police received a tip-off about the smuggling of amphetamines across the country and quickly alerted their counterparts. In January 1994, law enforcement tracked the delivery and raided a Perth garage, where they caught the former Australian Football League star and another person unloading around 5 kilos of amphetamines. The football star was sentenced to 16 years in prison, but he was just a small player compared to the big fish working with Higgs, and he faced the harshest punishment. Some police officers thought the guy had a rough deal. From 1982 to 1993, it turns out he handled about $1.7 million, although rumors hinted he might have sunk $18 million into city real estate and owned $10 million worth of land in Queensland. No one's really sure how much he raked in or where he hid the rest. It took the cops years to build a case against him, but their big moment came when a secret informant, known only as E292, managed to sneak into the gang and dig up some crucial dirt on him. The police cooked up a plan to catch him red-handed. They supplied Higgs with the chemicals he needed for his drug-making operations. One officer mentioned that he whipped up truckloads of stuff with what the cops gave him before they nabbed him. Meanwhile, someone managed to swipe confidential documents and tapes right from a locked-down drug squad evidence room. Quite the drama unfolding. The stolen documents were all about Higgs's case and the informant's snooping. This informant, who had been keeping tabs on Higgs and a few others, had to vanish into thin air after the break-in because it was too risky to stick around. Higgs ended up pleading guilty to trafficking conspiracy and got a 6-year sentence, serving at least 4. Interestingly, once Higgs was behind bars, the quality of speed throughout Australia took a nosedive. But that's not where Higgs's tale wraps up. After serving time, you'd think Higgs might have turned over a new leaf, but nope, he jumped right back into the game. In June 2007, he was caught up in one of the biggest ecstasy busts the world had seen. The operation, known as the Tomato Tins Conspiracy, involved over 3,000 tins stuffed with 4.4 tons of pills, hidden in a shipping container at Melbourne's port, all the way from Italy. This massive stash was worth about $122 million. Fresh out of jail in 2003, Higgs didn't slow down. Instead, he teamed up with Pasquale Barbaro from the Calabrian Mafia to bring in this huge ecstasy shipment. You might be curious about how Higgs got caught again. Well, it boils down to some really bad luck and another informant. This time, it was his own lawyer who was secretly passing information to the Victoria police. This lawyer wasn't new to the game. He had helped convict big names like Tony Mokbel, Farouk Orman, and Zadar Kvedanovsky. Higgs ended up with an 18-year sentence for his role in bringing in 15 million ecstasy pills. When he filed an appeal, claiming that his trial was unfair because his counsel was a snitch, and then tried to gain bail, both attempts failed. His bail application was simply dismissed.